Welcome back to Mile Higher Podcast, where we take your mind a mile higher. And today on episode 79, we are doing an entire episode of woke news topics. So basically what we normally do the first part of our podcast, but the entire show, because there's a lot going on and we just thought it would be kind of interesting. And our main story, of course, our highly requested story is the Jeffrey Epstein conspiracy, I guess you could call it. But just
it really
Jeffrey
is at
Epstein.
this point. Yeah.
Yes. So we will be talking about that as our last topic. It's going to be our longest, biggest chunk of the podcast.
Yeah, 'cause there's so much to uncover with it. So many things have come out since we talked about it last week or so.
Well, we recorded on the day that he died, like a couple hours after the news broke that he had passed. So there was basically no information at that point. So there's a ton more. And a lot of you guys had just questions, like you had never even heard of Jeffrey Epstein and you just kind of wanted to understand what's going on a little bit better. So
yeah, we'll try to give you
the
full picture, deep dive.
As much as we can.
Yeah,
you know, it would take hours for real to really explain it all. But
It's true. But we'll get into some stuff.
Yes, but before we get started, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Candid, Calm, Quip, and Honeybook.
Yeah.
Thank y'all, as always. And I wanted to start off today with a couple positive stories. I thought it'd be nice to throw in.
It's a good change.
Yeah, like, I mean, our stories are always super interesting, but they're normally a little bit alarming or a little bit scary even. I mean, it's the truth, though. You got to face reality. But I thought it'd be kind of nice if you started including maybe a positive story in the intro topics every once in a while.
Might be a good idea.
Yeah, it might be fun. I
give you some hope before you don't have any.
Drop the ball, you know.
Yeah.
But I have a couple of interesting little
what you got
tidbits of good news that I found. So this week, Delaware became the first official non-kill state for animal shelters, which is a huge thing. This is huge, actually. I thought California would have been the first. They're, you would think they're very forward
progressive,
when it comes
especially
to
with
pets.
like animal rights and
Definitely
treatment and stuff for sure.
Definitely.
But Delaware,
they have taken on the task to also reevaluate how all of their shelters are run and deal with the overcrowding problem, because that's basically what's going on with a kill versus a non-kill shelter. There's not like shelters that take in animals wanting to kill them or anything like that, but a lot of them literally just don't have the room, and pets that are older or aren't getting adopted just have been there a long time and they feel like are kind of hopeless, they'll put them down. And there are shelters that advertise as non-kill, which is always great to support a non-kill shelter if you can. But Delaware has made it so all of their shelters will become non-kill. And this is really interesting too, because the main thing too is cats. Cats are euthanized at a rate that's twice as much as dogs.
That's crazy, man.
Because there are an insane amount of cats. And that's due to just spayed and neutered cats and dogs, or cats running around. And
well, I think there's just more cats roaming around than there is dogs,
for sure, just because
like that.
There's more wild ones roaming around.
So it makes sense why there would be way more cats, but which is sad because I love cats, and the fact that cats get euthanized.
I talked about it on my channel too. They are trying to do something for the cats as well. This is not even in my list to talk about, but I thought this was really interesting. If you never saw my video about it, they are trying to get cats to work as well. They're trying to start working in cities. Like there's certain cities that
rodents
have
and stuff.
To come in and do mice control, or like you can literally adopt a working cat to come work on your land or whatever.
Come be a barn cat or something.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of cats, like, they don't want to live inside. They've been feral cats for a long time. They're like, fuck you, I'd rather stay out here. But then they also do need food and water, and they fix them and stuff, but then they make them working cats. That's really interesting. But anyway, back to this. So the nonprofit that's doing this is the Best Friends Animal Society, and they're working with shelters across the entire nation to actually make America a no-kill country by 2025 is what they're going for, which would be incredible. 2025, that's like not even that long. 5 years? Or 5-6 years, they're going to try to do that.
And there's got to be a way to...
really ambitious goal.
Because like the humane societies, right? That's like usually what government owns usually. humane societies of like different counties and things like that. Like, like in your county taxes and stuff, some of your tax money is ultimately going to these shelters.
I don't know if they're
not like private. They're not completely private like some of the humane societies.
Janelle, can you check on that actually? Is Humane Society like tax funded, or I don't know the answer to that actually.
Well, I thought they were, because like you have, a particular county's humane society. Right. So I'm assuming the county is giving them some funding, because like, there's no way that just from donations and things like that and people adopting the animals that they're able to keep their doors open,
Right.
Because it costs a lot more to, have the shelters open as opposed to.
Well, yeah, they work on donations as well. Like a lot of them, partner up with organizations or brands, even stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know, because it's saying, it's a common misconception among pet adopters, as well as the community at large, is that animal shelters are funded by taxpayer dollars and adoption fees. However, unless the shelter in question is run by or has a deal with the city, most don't receive government funding.
What about Humane Society specifically?
I'm thinking humane societies are connected with the city.
I thought so too, because they really are like in every county. Mostly.
Well, and that's why like animal control most of the time takes their dogs or the animals they capture to humane societies and things like that.
He was wandering around. They picked his ass up, and that's where you found him. God, when we got Tucker at the Humane Society, the Weld County Humane Society, he was in rough shape.
Yeah,
he was. They're like, he's had diarrhea. He's got. They said he had herpes, and I was like, what? He has herpes, which it actually is. It's feline herpes, but there's another word for it. But they're like, yeah, he's got diarrhea and herpes, and I was like,
that one.
I'll still take him, please.
But he was just so cute.
And he's ended up being the best cat. We've had him, God, now, dude. It's been like almost 8 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought Humane Society was, but
I don't know. It says it's a nonprofit, but I don't know if.
I mean, it could just be like per,
funded almost entirely by private membership dues, contributions, foundation grants, and banquets.
So maybe Humane Society is just an organization, kind of like the ASPCA type thing, but they have shelters.
They may not even be in the city
Someone
budget,
knows
though.
the answer out there, and they're like,
somebody works for a Humane Society, I guarantee you.
Yeah, and they're like, duh! Yeah, but anyway, it's pretty cool.
I'm sure it's not a lot if it's government supported.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome though. And then this is another animal project. This is similar to the working cats, but cats going to jail. This is called the Forward program. So this is different than what you and I saw a little while ago. We watched a documentary about inmates, like people who were in like high security prisons, but have earned, they've
been there for years and they've kind of proven themselves to be trustworthy.
Exactly. And they were giving them kittens to stay in their cell with them. Because, I mean, when you're in solitary confinement, you're so lonely. And like, I think people that are in solitary confinement, like, because that's their sentence, some of them.
Straight torture.
Max security stuff. Mm-hmm. It's torture, but like some of them have to be in there. But like not all of them. I feel like people in there still have the capability to change and to become better people and stuff, and shouldn't just be like sitting and rotting forever. And like, there's so many cats that need homes. If you can like, prove that they're going to take care of it and stuff. And obviously the guards are still watching them shove the cat in there. Yeah. And it's like I said, only certain people, but they'll let them adopt a cat and they can be their like cellmate. They get a little litter box in there. And it's like their best friend. Like, imagine how much that would mean to you. It reminds me of JC Dugard. She was the girl that was kidnapped in Lake Tahoe a long time ago. And she was held for like, oh my God, like I want to say like nearly 20 years. I can't remember the exact amount of time.
Years, yeah.
But she always talked about, she has all these journals from when she was a kid, and just how much every time that he would get her a cat, her captor would get her kittens to kind of hold her over. But then they would just like randomly disappear. It was really creepy. He would probably just kill them or get rid of them and stuff. But she would talk about how just being alone, an animal was like so, like she was like, at one point there was a spider that lived in my little area and I like loved the spider. Was like devastated when the spider died.
Well, it's another like living being, when you have none of that, then,
It's so healing. I think it's therapeutic too.
Well, that's why animals are therapy animals. It makes sense. Why wouldn't we give all of the, cats and shelters?
Yep, exactly. Cats and dogs are become some of the best companions, elating our moods, decreasing our blood pressure, in fact. So how can they help people in jail? The Animal Protection League partnered with the state of Indiana for an incredible project at the Pendleton Correctional Facility, and it's called Forward, which it like stands for something. And that's and they started that in 2015. And since then they've like helped so many. So basically what they do is they bring in shelter cats into the correctional facility, and inmates can be given, companionship, and the cats can also like get used to being with humans as well. Cause some of the cats like aren't quite ready to go into homes yet.
Yeah.
Like they need more socialization. And they need to like train and, stuff like that.
Somebody to spend some time with it.
Yeah, because due to the nature of shelters, there are a lot of pets that go unseen, unwanted, and they have like no human interaction. They have no social.
The ratio like to the people taking care of the cats, it's like 50 to 1.
A lot of them are just sitting there.
Right.
Like they're bored and they're not getting socialized. So then they may not be the best cat to adopt when it comes time for the right person to want to take them. So they basically send them into these prisons, and then, whatever prisoners have earned the right to come in, get to come into this room and play with all the cats at once.
Oh, that's cool.
They feed them, groom them, clean them, and they allow the cats to start trusting humans again. And it's for abused cats as well.
That's cool.
So
it's like a rehabilitation for the cats. Yeah,
exactly. And if the
Using
cats like
inmates.
wig out and scratch the inmates, they're like, whatever, we've been through
really
worse.
cool.
We're inmates. So check this out. There's all these pictures of them with the cats.
That's so cool.
And they have this special room that the inmates can come into and hang out with all the cats. And look at the joy on their faces.
Totally.
Look at the cats like, fuck.
The cat's like terrified, but they're so happy. Yeah.
But yeah, look how much fun they're having with the cats. It's like such a cool program. And then in the meantime, it's good for both parties. Not only is it helping the inmates, but it's helping the cats.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really, really cool.
It is cool. They should do that just nationwide. Like, why not?
Well, I hope they do more stuff like that, because cats are so adaptable too. Like cats are one of those animals that they adjust so easily to like any situation. I feel like there's so many more elderly people as well, not only like prisoners, but elderly that just are lonely, that have no companions, no family, no friends, or like live in retirement homes that could really benefit from a cat living in their room temporarily. And like, if they pass away, then you give the cat to someone else in the
just
building.
like a community of cats. Yeah.
Yes, and I always think about that because my great grandmother, I was super, super young when I visited her. She passed when I was young, but I remember she had a cat living with her in her nursing room. They allowed her. She was at a special nursing room where they allowed you to bring your pet, and she had a cat named Timothy, and it lived in there with her. And I remember my mom talking about how great it was that like she was never alone because Timothy was always there.
That's cool.
And it would be so cool if all, if prisons, retirement homes, there's so many different places, even places for
the workplace. Like just at the office,
definitely. I
if
wish more
like
people would allow
so many
that.
more companies had, policies that allow you to bring your pets. Like in Colorado, luckily there is a lot of companies, especially like in Boulder and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I've worked for a couple where people brought their dogs in every day, and it just adds an element to like the professional space that I think is so needed in our world and culture, because so many people are uptight. Yeah, it's stress. They bring the stress level down because like I feel like when any human sees like a golden retriever come running up to you with a tennis ball in their mouth, you're just like, oh, that's so cute. I want to play with them. And it just immediately, like, doesn't matter what meeting you just walked out of or whatever you were just doing, you're immediately distressed. It's great. It's the same as like the idea of, working in nature, letting people go outside to work versus just being in a cubicle all day. Like,
well, it's saying that it literally lowers your blood pressure to go outside, to be with pets. These are all things to help your mental health. It's all self-care. I mean, animals are such a great way to take care of your mental health. I think like I love being around my pets. And I think some of that is because animals don't have this, they don't carry around this sense of stress with them, like unless they've been like abused and they're in a stressful situation. But naturally, animals don't have the same stressors that humans do because they're totally in the moment. And I think you feel that when you're around them. You're like, well, my dog doesn't really care about what's going on right now. So when you're thinking about something really stressful in your head and you look down at your dog and your dog's like, hey, it's sunny outside. Let's go on a walk. Like they're so in the moment. What are we doing right now?
It forces you to be in the moment with them.
Exactly.
That's what it does.
Exactly. I think having an animal is good for everyone. And if you're allergic to all the animals on the face of the earth, I suggest even getting a plant. A living companion is so helpful, I think.
The whole thought of like, you were talking about how humans are always constantly obsessing over everything else, and the dog or the pet is just focused on what's happening in there. Now there's like the cutest picture, and we can put it up on the screen too, but I'm going to send it to you guys because it explains it perfectly.
I know what you're talking about. I've seen you post that before, actually.
It's so good.
Yeah, if you're not watching on YouTube, if you're just listening, it's basically just like a cartoon of a human, and they have a speech bubble or a thought bubble with all their stresses, and then the dog is just like
the thought,
thinking about right now, the walk, how beautiful it is, blah blah blah. And it's so true.
It's perfect.
It's so true.
No, I was just gonna say, you mentioned plants, and my next topic is perfect. Like,
is this a good news story?
Yes, this is actually
okay. Good, because I have one more good news
Yeah.
story. So if we're gonna
Before
have a little, before you drop the Jeffrey Epstein bomb,
I've got some bombs to drop. But this one is actually really cool, and I think could literally change, the world. And that's in Singapore. There's a hospital there that serves a ton of people, like 800,000 people in this area that live around this hospital. And what they've done is they've made their hospital like one with nature.
Oh, that's amazing.
So literally it's like, imagine, going to, if you've ever been to like a zoo or like a atrium or an aviary or something like that. Or like
even fucking Rainforest Cafe a little bit.
Yeah. Imagine that environment in your hospital.
Denver Aquarium has something like this, kind of like an atrium. But oh my gosh, how beautiful.
So when you walk into the hospital, there's just cascading waterfalls. There's plants everywhere. Wow. And like, it's not this like sterile, which I don't understand how everything's super sterile because there's stuff flying around and stuff, but they must have a way to do it. But the
air's probably actually super clean because of all the plants. Like, there's probably some things like that, but they probably have an insane gardening staff on hand. Like there's probably like an entire team that's there every day, looking for pests, and there's ways to.
Which, I mean, there's still sterile areas of it. It's not like the operating room is like in the middle of this. Like there's still
there's like the patients are like on a bed of grass. No, but like even, and I'm sure they have like the doors where it spins, which makes it way less likely for a bug to get inside actually.
Because there's literally birds like in like the main lobby and stuff. There's birds flying around. Like you could be walking down the hall to a patient's room and a butterfly just flies past you.
And see, this is so nice because the hospital is such a depressing place. I'm sure all of you out there have probably either been to the hospital yourself or went there for a loved one, and it smells like cleaning supplies and also like chemicals and death. Like it's like just the most disgusting scent, and then it's like so depressing. Like it's almost too clean.
Yeah.
And it freaks me out. I hate being in the hospital. Like I keep thinking about a few months, our grandpa, Janelle and I's grandpa died in February, and I remember going in on the day that he passed, and it's just, I mean, it's a nice hospital. I'm not going to complain. Littleton Adventist Hospital.
Yeah.
It's a good hospital, but it would have been really nice to like come out of, after we said goodbye to him and he passed, to come down the elevators and come into this.
Right.
Like that would have been so much more relaxing versus just like a front desk.
Or how wonderful would it be if they had a room that was designated to people that obviously were there to pass, so it didn't really matter if you were a little bit less sanitary, right? And you were there, but they were surrounded by beautiful nature with their family.
That would be so much a good idea.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's a really great idea. Like a near-death room. Because my grandpa died in the room that he was in for 2 weeks since his stroke. Like
the ICU.
It was sick in there.
Imagine, if you are in the hospital and you're close to the end, like you can be being wheeled into this just like nature scene, like waterfall, like a special area.
Well, we kept talking about this even on the way to the hospital. You and I were like, wouldn't it be so nice? Because it was such a beautiful day. The day I don't remember if this is the day he passed or just one of the days we thought he might pass. It was such a gorgeous day out. And we were like, wouldn't it be nice if we could just wheel him out of there, even though he's like not really conscious? Like, I wonder if his soul would kind of know.
Yeah, subconscious would absolutely
because my grandpa like loved the mountains. He loved nature, like the beach, anywhere. And they used to live in Boulder, and I thought it would be so nice for him to like be out, but you can't do that. Like they're not going to let you just like, wheel him out.
Unless you can do it willingly, just walk out.
Can you? I'm not sure how that works. I don't ever hear of people doing that very often, but I don't know. This would be really nice to have an atrium like this.
Yeah, and like even the patients' rooms, like some of them are like nicer and have air conditioning, but some of them have like more beds because it's cheaper. But even those rooms get natural ventilation because all of the windows open. And what's cool is they've made it so that all the patients' rooms see greenery. So there may not be like greenery in the room, but at least they can look outside through like an open window and see greenery and smell the plants. Like,
oh my gosh.
it's literally like they've built a rainforest inside this hospital, which is really cool.
Is this hospital mainly for people that are like hospice type of stuff to like make
No, this is just like a normal hospital.
Wow, listen to this. At meal times, patients are given organic grown food in a massive off of their massive rooftop garden.
That's
and
awesome.
Everyone fills their plates with fruits and veggies on the weekly, hospital-wide meatless Mondays as well. We love that. So that's really cool.
Because they're in this idea of like, in order to create it, because it's not just that this is natural and it's nice to look at and stuff. They really feel that like nature and these plants, you know, can really help reduce pain, anxiety. Like there's studies that have been done on these patients where
increasing oxygen too.
Increasing oxygen, you know.
For sure.
You know, being less stressed out because so many people are just stressed beyond belief in the hospital because they're scared or they're, you know, for whatever reason. And this could just, you know, it would definitely settle you down a bit because when it feels artificial and weird as it does now, whenever you walk into it, you feel like you're not supposed to be there.
Yeah, or like something bad's gonna happen. Like it's an
there's nothing
anxiety,
calming
energy
or zen
in
about
there.
it at all. So
yeah. And this is said that they believe in this completely total healing environment, not just for the patients, but also for the caregivers and staff so that the whole system functions well.
Imagine how much like less stressed a surgeon is being able to come out of surgery and take a walk down the little nature path.
Remember what a jerk the surgeon was that like told us that Grandy wasn't going to die? He was
never
like,
going to be grandpa again.
Yeah, he seriously said that to me, you guys. I was like... Can you just be honest with us? Like, what do you think? Like, should we like, because we were debating whether to put him on life support or not. And he had a stroke. So we started saying that to him, like, what do you think? And he was like, well, he's never going to be grandpa again.
We're like,
it's like, dude, go smoke a joint. Come back to me. Like, he was being such a heartless dick. I almost like fought someone. If I wasn't like tears in my eyes, like very delicate state, I would have like fought him.
Well, remember we were bringing like crystals and pictures and all these like good vibe things to Grandy's room, and they wouldn't let us bring any plants though. Plants.
Yeah, that's what's interesting about all of this. Actually, that's a great point. We weren't allowed to bring plants in. We had asked because we wanted to. Of course, Janelle and I were like, well, we're going to bring in a bunch of plants. Like, that's what we'll do. But then they were like, no, you can't do that. Like, they were even strict about the type of balloons we couldn't bring in latex.
Well, he was in the ICU.
Yeah, he was in the
right?
ICU.
So maybe that's why. It's probably because he was in the ICU because you can definitely bring flowers and plants.
Right.
Like,
no, for sure. Yeah, but where he was,
I bet you the floor he was on. Yeah, there's other people there that can't be exposed to whatever could come in on a plane.
But that's what I'm just curious for a hospital to be like a greenhouse on the side is kind of insane.
Yeah, I don't know.
Really interesting though. Okay, real fast though, before we just keep going and going on this, because I could talk about that all day. I love plants. I did want to talk about some other good news. One last bit of good news here. We have a way that people are now reusing food waste for something we need, which we love. So scientists have discovered how to make eco-friendly sunscreen from a source of food waste, and that is cashew shells.
Cashew
shells. Now, so obviously we know sun damage can lead to sunburn, obviously, premature aging, the development of potentially lethal melanomas in both humans and animals. UV rays are also damaging to most materials. So a team of international science have found why do I keep saying science? An international team of scientists have found an environmentally friendly way of producing sunscreen by just using cashew nut shells.
How did they come
instead
about
of
that?
Discarding them as waste?
How did they just decide, like, out of all the things they could test to see if it would be good for sunscreen, where they're like, oh, let's try these cashew shells.
I know.
Hey, Bob, give me your shells. Let me look at these real quick. And I'm like, oh shit, they've got these fibers in here that absorb the UV rays from the sun. Like, how the fuck did they know that? Like,
I have no idea.
Or know to look there.
They had produced a new aromatic, it shows that there's good UVA and UVB absorbance. if it's applied to protect humans. And then polymers and coatings can also help just like protect machinery like cars and stuff, like because it also, the sun also damages like dyes, pigments, weathering of plastics, and loss of gloss and mechanical properties. So this is like a sun barrier.
Just infuse it with little cashew shells and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, you can just like rub the cashew shells on you, but
that's cool.
It's interesting because this is something that, you know, we just are wasting. There's so much shell. Do you ever think about that?
Well, and it's probably, this is a good alternative to regular sunscreen, just because regular sunscreen's literally killing, and you know, the reefs and the ocean and things like that, you know, all the chemicals and stuff in it. So if there's this sounds like a pretty natural way to make, you know, some type of, maybe they can make a, you know, some way to so we can apply it to ourselves. You know, it doesn't sound like they have that yet, but it'd be cool if there was like cashew nut sunscreen coming out soon.
Yeah, no, that would be, I think that's kind of where it's heading. Like it's going to be a main ingredient, because right now the best like sunscreen for the environment, for the water, is actually is sunscreen that contains zinc, like a zinc based sunscreen. So that's like when we were in Hawaii and I got that one.
Yeah,
it's
we
like
had to buy that super special one.
Yeah, it's expensive normally, but it's very concentrated, and it like leaves you white if you don't rub it in. It's like that one that I'm sure some of you guys like have used it and you're like, I hate this shit.
Yeah.
But that's the best to use, especially if you're going to be like going in a coral reef or like snorkeling or something. Like you definitely don't want to be wearing something with all the harmful chemicals.
That's cool, huh?
Yeah, all right. That's the cashew shell story.
Is it time for me to drop bombs?
Yeah. No. Actually, no. I'm going to drop the bomb first.
Oh, okay.
Here's the bomb. Recycling is a joke, you guys. It's very, very sad. But, you know, I learned this from Megan Hughes. You've got to check out her channel. A lot of you guys probably already know her. She and her sister used to make, like, her sister was Brit Beauty Baby. Yes. And then I don't remember Megan Hughes' like username, but she used to go by that before she was just Megan Hughes. Right?
Yeah, it was, I don't remember her username, but yeah, it's Megan and Lindsay, and Megan
and Lindsay. Yeah, a lot of you guys
been on YouTube forever.
Yeah, they used to do beauty videos. But anyway, Megan has become this sustainability goddess who looks like she's like out of Woodstock times. Like she's just
she's incredible.
Best. Like she's like I don't know. She is really, really good when it comes to this sustainability stuff. I want to get her on this podcast because she brings up things I don't even think about all the time, about ways that you can improve your life and make yourself more eco-friendly. But she posted this video and I could not believe when I listened to it. It was insane. I'll link it below for you guys, but basically what has happened is California's largest recycling center, Replanet, they have multiple locations across California and the country, and they have completely shut their doors in California. So there is basically nowhere to take recycling waste anymore. So that means recycling has pretty much just stopped. And one thing that Megan was talking about a lot in her video, which made so much sense to me, is like, since we were young, especially our generation, millennial kind of generation. I mean, Barney, right? On Barney, they're always reduce, reuse, recycle. Is that not what you learn? So at some point, we just really, really were like, okay, the recycling part, but we didn't think about reducing. We didn't think about reusing. And that was such a good point to me, because I'm like, oh my God, that's so true. You buy things and it has the little recycling thing on it, and you're like, oh, well, I'm environmentally friendly. Yeah. Like, let me wash this out and recycle. But the sad reality is most of our recycling is not even being recycled. It's really, really bad. And basically what happened was a few years ago, it's not even that long ago, China did something called the National Sword. It was a policy that China put in place because we used to ship all of our recycling goods to China.
To recycle over there.
Well, they were actually buying it from us. They were reusing our materials and stuff. But what's happened is two things. The public in China woke up about that and they were like, fuck no, this needs to stop. Like, it's getting out of hand over there. And then second of all, everything that we're sending them is like too dirty for them to use. Like, we're so lazy in America that we're not even cleaning our recycling properly. Sorry.
Yeah.
And there's lots of plants that are specifically made. They're called MRFs, I think. Megan was talking about? Yeah. And they're supposed to like clean our recycling because we're so bad at like cleaning things out.
Right.
That
when you recycle it, if it's dirty, it contaminates the rest of the lot. So
exactly.
Then they just, what are they going to do? Spend all the time to clean it all out? No, they'll just toss it.
Yeah. And like someone may have been really lazy with their recycling bin. It's going to get mixed with someone else's who, meticulously cleaned theirs out and all of it's trash. So it's just out of control. And now we're not even having places in our own country, recycling plants, to take them anymore. They've completely shut down. They laid off 750 employees through this because recycling was really a business not even that long ago, but it's been completely cut. So basically China just said they're done taking our shit, like basically our trash. And we've been sending it to India, but even they're starting to not want it. We're sending it to a couple other places too. But since China did this, they call it the national sword because it took a sword to recycling worldwide and how it's done. And which everyone was just sending it to China.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's not a solution. That's just basically like, where can we hide this shit? This is really inconvenient for us all. So, I mean, it's just really, really disheartening because I know a lot of you out there probably recycle, or maybe you're not even at the point of recycling yet and you want to recycle or something and you're like hearing like, oh, well, recycling doesn't even do anything. Well, what's the point? Well, that's not how I want you to think for sure. But we definitely have to start as a society. We have to start thinking of a way that we are going to, as a whole, teach everyone how to stop focusing on the recycling aspect of things and starting to look at the reducing and the reusing and finding sustainable options.
Well, I mean, at the bottom, the problem is too, right? Like, why is this happening? And it ultimately all comes back to money,
Oh yeah.
Greedy corporations that don't want to change their ways and don't want to pay more in order to change packaging, things like that. Cause you also have to think about like,
but the consumer will have to pay more as well.
They're getting, think about on the flip side of these products, where's the packaging come from? It's coming from China, most likely. It's being, or we're buying plastic bottles and stuff from them and we're bottling it here or whatever. But at the end of the day, if you look at the reverse, it's like, not only do we have to change our ways, but so do these corporations if we want to really have full on change,
But the only way that they're going to change because they're so selfish is if the consumer starts to want something different. And there are more eco-friendly options. Like look at Starbucks, dude. They're trying to completely get rid of straws.
Yeah.
The reason they're doing that is because Starbucks is known as this like really forward-thinking company and people are demanding it. Straws are such an issue and so many people want change with straws that's an example of a huge company. I mean, Starbucks is the coffee company in America and they made a huge change like that. There's an example, but that is a consumer demand that eventually gets put into place. It's just like with cruelty-free. 6 years ago, there was no cruelty-free products. Like it was very, very limited. And now there are way more brands getting onto it because a lot of brands don't want to just be excluded from someone's possible range of products they can use because they're a cruelty-free consumer.
Right.
The more consumers become eco-friendly consumers, the more that the big corporations are going to change. So it does start at the base. Like it has to.
Right. Which can be hard though, because
it's very hard.
There are things that there's just no other like solutions for. Plus you got to think about cost, because if you look at the eco-friendly options, they're generally more expensive.
Definitely.
Right now, at least, they're more expensive versus, all the stuff we've been buying for the past 50 to 100 years. Like some of these brands have been around a long time and they've been doing things one way for a long time. So, it's going to take a huge movement really of people moving away from a brand and buying another option that's eco-friendly, which
sometimes there just isn't an option too. It's really, really hard. I've been really trying to look at my own impact on the planet the last few years. And like one major thing I have done is like cut out red meat, cut just down the amount of meat I was consuming in general. Like I stick to birds and fish. That's what Colbert says, Stephen Colbert. I'm doing the same thing as him. But like I hadn't really thought much about like my waste and like where all of that was going or how much
trash and stuff.
Yeah. And it's just, that's one thing I think I want to say to you guys is if you're out there and you like really don't know where to start and you're like, everything's fucked, what's even the point? Like, don't be like that. And I would start out by first just looking at your life and just taking note of all the plastic that you're using, especially single-use plastic, and just looking at how much you have, and then start thinking of ways that you can replace one thing at a time, because that's what it is. Like I have so much work to do. We have so much work to do when it comes.
We're not perfect
everyone does
by any means.
Oh,
no.
We are far from it.
Yeah, no.
We have a lot to learn, and like we're constantly finding new solutions and new ways to reduce our impact. But I mean, we have to. That's the bottom line here, is we're going to have to change, all of us, or we're going to be forced into it, or we're just going to be dead, is the reality. Like, I hate to
drowning in our
say
plastic.
that, but I mean, if Replanet completely shutting down is a huge thing. Like I really hope is a wake up call. There's basically no recycling right now in California. Like plastic is trash.
Yeah. Well, even here, even like the frequency at which you even get access to recycling is so little. Like,
yes,
I fill up our recycling bins completely to the top by the 1 week. And then I have a whole nother week of no, they don't come every week.
Yeah,
it's
we
every
only get
other
every
week.
other
Or
week.
I think even here it might be like once a month or something crazy. Like,
and we don't even have like a sorting system, obviously. Like most places don't have something where you have multiple bins and they're picking up an aluminum bin and a glass bin. And it's such a disappointment too, because I feel like so many of us like felt like recycling was really helping. Like, God, my parents really drilled recycling into me as a kid. Like, I remember my dad was like so into it. We would like wash bottles together, glass bottles, and like he'd explain to me what things can be recycled and what things can't. I was like, wow, God, we are so eco-friendly. And then to find out that that's probably all just sitting in a fucking landfill is devastating.
Yeah, it really is. It sucks.
And then, you look at your own, we were talking about earlier, you look at your own life and how much plastic and waste you make in your own house.
Mm-hmm.
And then you like think about a hotel, and it's just fucking insanity. Like, it's really, really bad. And the problem is a lot of people don't even know that it's a problem.
Yeah, well, and like talking about food waste, like restaurants and, a lot of them end up throwing away tons and tons of food when, there's other ways to get rid of that waste food, Right. I mean, there's even, chefs in restaurants that take waste food and make new food out of it, or, feed the homeless, or at the very least compost it, it versus putting it in bags. Because you go look behind any strip mall or any restaurant, they have the huge trash can. You go look into, it's just bags and bags and bags of people's garbage and probably napkins and,
oh my gosh,
plastic silverware and everything
else. That's another
so.
Big thing is eating out causes so much waste, because they're always giving you a plastic fork and knife, or like, and a lot of places just aren't on board with like, you giving them like an alternative, like, can you fill this or fill that? They're like, what? They like look at you like you're insane.
Yeah. It's just inconvenient for them, I guess.
I hope that with time though, that will change and it'll become something where they're completely used to people giving them an alternative, or maybe, there'll be restaurants that advertises like, we're a sustainable restaurant. We have cardboard. I mean, but that's hard because then like your food's gonna be like soaked in it. But like, get your own fucking fork and knife. Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice if people just carried a fork and knife in their purse?
Well, I mean, a lot of places don't, will give you metal silverware. They just wash and reuse.
But if you take it to go, they're not going to give it to you.
Right, to go, yeah.
Yeah, so
I think more and more people are starting to carry their own stuff. Like, I know a lot of people carry like little foldable straws in their purse.
Totally. That's a huge thing. Metal straws, having a straw like that, or like a reusable cup.
Yeah.
Like you can literally take a thing to Starbucks, like a tumbler. The ones that I love, the Simple Modern on Amazon, they're great. They're really like so many cute colors and really affordable. And they keep it cold. Like, damn, you can have ice in it and it'll be there like 24 hours later. It's insane. But yeah, you can just hand it to them through the drive-thru, and most places will just take it and they know what to do. Like, especially Starbucks, they know they're what's up with the the eco-friendly stuff. But
well, while we're on the topic of
plastic.
recycling and plastic, you want to talk about
yes, I do.
Some craziness.
Yeah. Well, another thing that's tying into that is it has been raining plastic in the Rocky Mountains. Scientists are literally finding like rainbow-colored little bits of plastic in the fucking sky.
Yeah, like fibers. Mm-hmm. Like you have to look at under a microscope to see it. But there's literally little fibers of plastic in our rainwater being rained down, which is crazy to think about.
Well, I think that what they've found out is that's because it's being pulled from frozen areas, and then when it's melting, it's like releasing into our atmosphere and then coming down as rain. So fucking crazy.
It's just everywhere.
Plastic is like such a terrible thing.
They found it on the bottom of the Marianas Trench. Remember we talked about that?
Yeah.
They found a plastic fucking bag at the lowest point in the world.
How does it sink that far? Oh my gosh.
And it's down there just fine.
You guys, they're saying that there's supposed to be more plastic in the ocean than fish by 2050. It's not like we don't have that much longer to. Plastic is like the devil. Yeah, Janelle and I were talking about like, wouldn't it be awesome if they could create some type of like parasite that eats plastic or something?
They're working on stuff. I know
I've
there's
heard stuff like that.
A number of different, I mean, man, if you're the one that invents the thing or organism that can eat plastic, you're going to be a rich, because yeah, of course everybody's going to jump on that.
There's got to be a way. Like scientists can do fucking like everything now.
Yeah.
Well, I think it just comes down to a demand of like putting our resources to find something like that. Because for a while they're like, why would we do that? No one really cares that much. So we'll just continue to use a bunch of waste. But now people are like, this is not okay. You guys, like as the experts, have got to help us find a solution because we can, use all the metal straws we want. But at the end of the day, it's the massive corporations that have got to get it together.
Right. That is the absolute truth. It is important as humans of the planet to try our best to minimize and to change our ways or to stop eating meat or whatever you want to do to make your, impact. Yeah. But at the end of the day, if we can't get the corporations and the elites on board, the planet's toast. Like it's the carbon emissions, it's factory farming, it's so much.
There's so many factors.
And there's only so much that we can do as average people. It's going to take mass amounts of people getting on board to a movement and demanding that. And people in office who at least believe in climate change. I'm sorry. That's ridiculous. That's all I got to say about that. All right, let's go to our next topic, though. Speaking of ridiculous, let's talk about motherfucking Jeffrey Epstein.
No. I got one more thing before that.
One more thing before Jeffrey
I
Epstein?
want to talk about Elon Musk dropping bombs, man.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So this is crazy.
So Elon Musk, if you don't know who he is, look him up. But he believes that if we hit Mars with nuclear weapons, like if we drop nukes onto Mars, then we would be able to melt the planet's ice caps, which would then release vast amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, which would essentially create the greenhouse effect, which we have here on Earth, which has gotten out of control. But if we can create a greenhouse effect around it, then we may be able to raise the temperature and create an atmosphere that could be livable, on the planet. It's like Elon Musk is very forward thinking. And he also said a few years back that he created this whole plan of how we could build a 1 million person colony on Mars in less than 100 years.
That's actually so fascinating, and only like it's such an innovative mind like his would come up with that shit.
Like if we drop nuclear weapons, we'll be able to create an atmosphere, and then we can move there.
So that's what's so confusing to me is because like I've always heard that they don't have an atmosphere because they possibly could have had nuclear war on the planet.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of people that believe there was something that happened prior.
And there's evidence for that.
And that Mars may have been a lot like Earth at one point in time.
So why would dropping more nuclear bombs on Mars make it better?
To take care of the ice caps.
Okay, so the ice caps would melt, creating oceans.
Just
which
like
would create
here,
vegetation,
there's carbon
create a normal
dioxide
planet.
trapped underneath the ice. So if you melt that, then all that carbon dioxide creates a greenhouse effect around the planet.
And that humans could build a 1 million person colony on Mars in less than a century.
Yeah, I mean,
very interesting.
I think we could see humans on Mars very soon, honestly. Like I think in the next 20 years.
Wouldn't that be wild if our kids like end their lives on Mars or like have their kids on Mars or grandchildren live on Mars?
Maybe. I know I always say this, but this life could turn into the Interstellar movie. I'm just saying.
Okay, Josh. I think we've heard you say that like 8,000.6 times.
I know everybody out there is probably like, Josh said it again.
No, if you haven't seen that movie and you're watching this podcast, you're going to have to see it or else you're not going to understand.
Literally fucking happening in front of our eyes. Did you know that July of this year was the hottest temperatures on record in recorded history, guys? Since they started recording the global temperatures back in the 1800s.
I believe it. It's been the
hottest. Hot. Dude, it was 90, I think it was like 94.6 degrees in the Arctic Circle.
Oh my God.
So if you go up to the
Imagine
North
how
Pole,
hot it is in, like,
it's
Death
literally
Valley.
94 degrees up there.
Oh my God. What on earth?
That's insane. That we haven't seen that. That's just crazy that it's that warm up there. And
It
not
seems
only
like
that,
things are getting worse even faster than scientists are saying, which they're already predicting it's getting worse quick. So,
well, like Greenland's been in the news recently because
Yes, they
Trump
have.
said he wanted to buy Greenland, that pool. But and his reasoning for it is to go mine its resource, basically exploit Greenland and suck all of the blood out of it for money, essentially.
nice.
When in fact, Greenland is literally melting at a rate faster than scientists even expected. Like they thought that we would reach the levels of melting that are happening right now by 2070 are happening now, guys. Like it's literally melting billions of tons of ice. And the problem is that if the ice continues to melt, obviously sea levels rise, but all of this carbon dioxide that's in the permafrost gets released into the atmosphere. And our
Right.
planet warms up to, like, literally we could be going outside 150 degrees. You're getting 2nd-degree burns walking outside of your house. Like
We'll die before that, dude. Seriously.
I'm just
like
saying,
we
like,
won't be able to grow food by that point.
it's going to have to be done like inside. Yeah.
This is such an urgent issue. Oh my gosh, I really hope this is a priority for voters in this upcoming election, at least in America, because good God, guys. Like this is literally nothing else matters but this. Like no other issue you can think of matters more than the future condition of our planet. Like if we don't have a planet, it doesn't matter about social issues. It doesn't matter about money. Fuck your economy. Like you will be dead. So I hope everyone keeps that in mind.
Yeah. Either you're dead or on another
So
planet.
now can we talk about motherfucking Jeffrey Epstein?
We can.
Okay.
But before we do, we'd like to thank our first sponsors for today.
So did you guys know that your teeth can actually move and shift around in your mouth as you get older and become like more crooked, even if you had braces when you were younger? Well, I didn't know this. And I actually did not have braces as a kid. I was pretty lucky. Me and my sister, we never needed braces. We have like relatively straight teeth. But what I've been having issues with is my bottom teeth, which, you know, are kind of out of sight, out of mind. I think that was my parents' like philosophy with that, is like, you're probably fine. But the older I get, the more they're shifting position and it just looks crooked underneath. So I've been looking at getting braces, and I just didn't want to have to go through the hassle of traditional braces. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of work. It's painful. And that's when I found Candid. It was really, really easy. You just basically make this little putty mix out of 2 different types of clay looking stuff. You mix it together and then you create a mold. You put it in your mouth, hold it there for a little while, then you send the molds off to them, and then they create a liner that fits your mouth perfectly. They even create a 3D preview of what the results are going to look like when you're done going through the process. And then once you approve that 3D preview, they then create a custom clear aligner for you that will be sent to you directly. And that means no hassle of having to go into the orthodontist's office. As many of us know, that creates a lot of anxiety for some of us. It's kind of scary. So it's really nice to be able to do it from the comfort of your own home. Not only that, it costs 65% less than braces, guys, which is what really caught my eye. You can save thousands of dollars and have straighter, brighter teeth in just an average of 6 months. And you could be one step away from getting straighter, brighter teeth too at candidco.com/milehigher. And if you use the code milehigher, you can save $75. That's candidco.com/milehigher and use the code milehigher for $75 off.
So we're all busy. Some of us are heading back to school, or kids are going back to school, and mornings are going to become hectic again. And we're trying to get those morning routines nailed out. And obviously we want our morning routines to be as simple as possible. And now it can be even simpler because the Quip electric toothbrush, guys, is the most simple yet amazing toothbrush you will ever use. I promise you. I've been using a Quip electric toothbrush for over a year now, and I gotta say, guys, it is definitely the best toothbrush I've ever used. It's extremely affordable. I love the actual pulsations of the brush are just perfect, not too hard, not too soft. It gets in all those places in between that you need to get to and keeps my mouth extremely clean and fresh. Some of the other features I love about the Quip toothbrush is obviously the 2-minute timer is super helpful, making sure you get an even and complete clean every single time, as well as the multi-use cover, which has come in handy many, many times with traveling. It attaches to your mirror and pops right off. You can use it as a cover for your travel bags and all that kind of stuff. And not only that, Quip makes it extremely easy to always have your toothbrush tuned up to the best possible brush money can buy. Not only is a Quip electric toothbrush simple and easy to use, there's no buttons, there's no cords, there's no big bulky chargers, but they also make keeping your brush heads fresh extremely easy as well. They send you a new brush head on a dentist recommended schedule every 3 months for just $5. So yeah, that's why I love Quip and why it's the perfect for getting back into a routine. Quip starts at just $25. And if you go to getquip.com/milehigher right now, you can get your first refill pack for free. That's your first refill pack free at getquip.com/milehigher.
All right. So Jeffrey Epstein, you guys, this story has been really, really wild. And it's been super, super interesting seeing so much of this type of content being covered on the mainstream for like a long time. You know how we said in the last podcast, we're like, I'm sure this will blow over like, in days. It's like they're still talking about it, like on a lot of the mainstream news networks, like CNN's talking about it at least a couple times a day. It's in their cycle for sure. Like people are very fascinated in this Jeffrey Epstein thing, probably because Trump's been talking about it. That's why it stays in the news. Anything he talks about, they're like all over it.
And he retweeted the, Clinton body count conspiracy and all that too.
There's
like
been
he
a lot of
literally
things
retweeted that.
trending on Twitter about it. Yeah.
So there's a lot of talk about, is there a conspiracy? Did he, commit suicide, or was he taken out by somebody? I mean, it's pretty compelling stuff. So
look at this douche. In this picture, he's wearing a monogrammed little zip up. What is he, in a sorority? That looks ridiculous. Jeffrey E. Epstein.
He looks like a freak. But anyway, just to give you a little bit of like background, if you don't really know Jeffrey Epstein, minus what you've heard about in the news, so he's this really wealthy billionaire financier guy, basically manages money for clients. And he grew his wealth over time.
And also his like social reach. Like he has just tons of connections, parties with tons of famous people.
Yeah.
Like he's been involved in a lot of high profile things, even cases, like crime cases. He's been kind of like fucking everywhere, but under the radar forever. Like most people wouldn't know his name, but he's like at all the major stuff, at all these big events, at all these big parties, involved with tons of top politicians.
Definitely in the elite circles for sure.
100% the elite circles. He's like in it, if not running it.
Definitely.
It's pretty crazy.
So as we get into Jeffrey Epstein a bit more, warning, there's definitely things in this that are disturbing and just
could be disturbing to sexual assault victims.
Definitely. Yeah. Cause
I wanted to give you a trigger warning.
Yeah. It's crazy. So going back to 2007, this is kind of when we first heard about him, really in this negative aspect of him being, a criminal and things like that. And that was because he was accused of sexually abusing dozens of underage girls, bringing them to his various homes for massages in which, he either had them masturbate him or had intercourse with them. And we're talking, like 14, 15, 16-year-old girls, clearly underage, and lots of them. And what's crazy is that when when he first got accused of this and indicted, back in 2007, he ultimately only got 13 months in a county jail, thanks to a plea deal that he's had signed by U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta, who actually later becomes Secretary of Labor under President Trump. We'll talk about this a little bit more later. But then fast forward to most recently in July, he was essentially arrested in New Jersey and charged with sex trafficking in connection with allegations that he recruited young girls for abuse at his homes in New York and Palm Beach. Beach.
Sorry.
Beach. Yeah.
Palm Beach. United States.
Oh my God. I'm not that bad. But so he was facing 45 years in prison and for sex trafficking, essentially. So doing the same thing, but this time trafficking various underage girls around the world, taking them with him on his plane to his various, he has properties in Paris, all over the place. He actually had a property in Colorado, actually, ski chalet, but
sure he went to
mostly
it,
in New
twice.
Mexico. Yeah, seriously.
If that.
So, and some of the things that came out with his arrest are the accusers that have come forward to say that, they were trafficked, he basically took them and trafficked him. God, I can't even say that.
Trafficked them,
use
yeah.
them
Yep.
to give sexual favors to other elite individuals as well.
Yeah.
And
Brought him
and not
into
only
his
himself.
ring.
Exactly. He had his own little ring going on, essentially.
Which, God, I mean, it's so incredibly common, more than people realize. I mean, these elite people being involved with this is like, it's like
the underage sex
it's
trafficking
really
and stuff.
insane. Like you
It's
start
very
to, I
weird.
can't understand why people want to be involved in this so much. It's always with people with money and power that are like involved in pedophilia.
There's something very
and
weird
it's
about
just-
it and very dark and disgusting about
It's
it.
really hard to understand. Like it's so bizarre that a lot of people like hear about it or read about it and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, that's bullshit," and they just click away. But it's very, very real.
Yeah. Well, that's the ugly truth about it, is people don't want to talk about it because it's so scary and almost unbelievable at times that this is happening.
Right.
But, now these individuals and victims of his that are coming forward and speaking out against him, and you start hearing their stories and like, obviously they're young, impressionable women at the time that he brings them in. So, he's literally like being a predator and just going after these young women. There was actually details that said that in the past, there was reports by people who knew him that he wanted to, quote unquote, seed the human race with his DNA by impregnating women at his vast New Mexico ranch.
That is really disturbing. Seed the human race. Who the fuck do you think you are, dude?
Exactly. And why? Why is he talking or
That
thinking
sounds like
this?
some conspiracy ass shit.
It sounds like some cult shit, if you ask me.
Yeah.
It sounds like some weird type of club that he's a sick club that he's a part of or something. Because, either
Dude,
that
it's
or
like
he's just
so
insane.
Interesting. This is so random, and I really don't want to sound like a major tin hat person right now, but like so many of these elite people have really light colored eyes, and that's like one of the it's one of the not the symptoms, the genetic traits of people that have the Rh negative blood. And Trump has it. He has light eyes. The Clintons, they have light eyes. Like so many people, that blood. I have it. I have Rh negative blood. Look at my eyes. They're really green. So I don't know. I kind of think that's interesting that he happens to have that too.
Yeah, there could be something to that though. I mean, you could go like really crazy with it and be like, what if he's like some type of reptilian or something, crazy like that? Like what if, if you've ever heard the reptilian conspiracy, like you could go there and be like, oh, well, maybe he's one of these evil reptilian
that's like
aliens.
what tons of people think.
Yeah, that they're the ones behind all of this.
Maybe they're right. I mean,
sex trafficking
who knows?
and weird
this world
underage
is
stuff.
Fucking crazy, man.
It's fucking bizarre though. But this is interesting. Like digging back into the history of Epstein, what I found really interesting is that no one really even knows how wealthy he is. Like we don't know what his net worth is. We don't even nobody knows exactly how he makes his money.
Rich,
like
though.
all we know is that he formed his own like money management firm called J. Epstein
No,
and
dude,
Company.
he makes all his money from human trafficking. There's a reason all these rich ass people are involved in human trafficking because there's a bunch of money in it. Like,
well, and that's like the glaring thing. It's like, why we're all asking these questions about how he makes money, yet now we know he does this. Like clearly that's where his money is
you don't
coming
think
from.
there's any money? He just does it for fun? No, he's like hooking up tons of other rich clients. He has like books of all people that have come to him for that type of thing, and he hooks it up. He's basically like a pimp.
Yeah, no, he is a literal pimp. And what was interesting is finding out that one of his best well-known clients that we actually know of is Victoria's Secret founder Les Wexner.
Oh my God. Fuck Victoria's Secret. They're canceled.
Ditched him over a decade ago.
They've been canceled. In fact, they're actually canceled. Did you hear this, Janelle? The Victoria's Secret, the show is canceled this year. No more fashion show.
Yep.
Because the ratings were so shit last year. Because they made a ton, whatever. We don't need to talk about Victoria's Secret, but I can talk shit about them for
But
a
isn't
while.
it weird that like his client happens to be an individual who runs a company of women's, underwear and lingerie, like.
Is that the same motherfucker that made the comments about trans people? Is it? Like, I don't remember. Janelle, will you look it up? Like, who actually made those comments? I'm pretty sure it was the CEO that said some, like, fucked up stuff.
I think it was, too, if I remember correctly.
I don't know if he was the CEO at the time when that happened, but.
And then that scumbag was one of his clients.
Mm-hmm. But what's crazy is that this guy clearly has a lot of money, even though we don't know where it comes from or there's no records of it either.
Because it's all under the table bullshit. It's where most of these elite people get it. That's how they keep themselves from paying taxes and keep themselves off the radar and don't end up on Forbes list. They don't want to be seen. They don't want to be known. Clearly
they're doing some shady shit and they're trying to keep it hidden.
Yeah.
But he has a ton of money. Like his townhouse in Manhattan is estimated to be worth around $77 million. It's the most expensive piece of like real estate housing in New York City.
For a townhouse.
Yeah. 77 million.
Oh my God. You'd think that would be like a huge mansion, right? That's so small.
Yeah. So he has
77 million.
And he has properties in New Mexico, Paris, the U.S. Virgin Islands, which we'll talk about. He has a private jet, a fleet of 15 cars, and a Palm Beach compound estimated at 12 million. So if you add all those things together, I mean, that's clearly like hundreds of millions of dollars that he's spent, which means that this guy has to be like in the billions, like to be affording that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so
he's a billionaire.
He could potentially making billions of dollars off of sex trafficking. That's fucking frightening.
Dude, the money that is in this is insane. And it goes back for so long. Like, it's just sick. The magnitude of human trafficking across the globe, especially of children, is so sick. Like, it's such a huge fucking problem. And there's so many people involved in it. And it's all underground. And then it's all funded by really elite people, which is crazy. Like, they keep it going and then they make so much money off of it.
Yeah, it's really crazy, honestly. God. But what's interesting is that this island that he has, this 100-acre private island in St. Thomas in the Caribbean, is where he runs his business from, supposedly. And people have,
they call it Pedo Island.
Yeah, exactly. And people that know him and other people, like he's involved with like hedge fund managers and all these like wealthy Wall Street people. People have referred to him as he is this mysterious Gatsby-esque figure. He likes people to think that he's very rich and he cultivates this air of aloofness. The whole thing is weird. Like even people that knew him like professionally and stuff all found this dude to be super, like something's off with him. Like he's so secretive and mysterious. Like people like call him the Wizard of Oz.
Running
like
a giant sex ring on the side.
Isn't it crazy?
Jesus.
And we'll get into the more.
It makes me so mad though. It's like so sick that this is actually happening. Like these are real children.
Yeah, young women that are being taken advantage of and traumatized.
Young women and men. Tons of little boys. Yeah, just tons of little boys. Yeah. When it comes to kids, it's like almost equal. Like there's a lot of little boys in human trafficking. It's crazy.
It's just crazy to think that there's these rings and
dude, it's horrific. No one wants to think this is real. Of course, it's way easier to be like, this is just insanity. And like that's the thing is like on the internet, there is a ton of bullshit surrounding this topic. There is a bunch of made up stuff. There's a bunch of politically swayed versions of this that have all these ridiculous untrue bits in it. So it's hard to like find the real information. But at its core, this is a very real thing. Very real.
Yeah, it's really, really scary is what it is. But let's talk about his little black book that he had, because this is really interesting.
This is horrific, actually. It's so scary to see who's all in here.
So essentially Jeffrey Epstein had this little black book filled with names and personal phone numbers of some of the world's wealthiest and most influential people, from Bill Clinton and Donald Trump to actors, actresses, scientists, and business tycoons.
Yep.
An annotated copy of the address book, which also contains entries for Alec Baldwin, Ralph Fiennes, Griffin Dunn, New York Post gossip Richard Johnson, Ted Kennedy, David Koch, filmmaker Andrew Jarecki, Courtney Love, former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, and Uber lawyer Alan Dershowitz. So very high profile people, actors.
So this isn't the flight log, right?
No, this is his address book that he had. Yeah.
Because there's even more names in the flight log.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, there's names from his address book in there, but it's interesting.
Alan Dershowitz, dude.
Yeah.
God, some people live double lives. I mean, this doesn't necessarily prove they are involved in human trafficking, but like, why are they connected to these people? Like, why?
Yeah, and what purpose does Jeffrey Epstein, some like Wall Street
unless they were
manager
doing business type stuff. But like, it's very weird. It's very weird to have a connection to this man.
It is. And there's tons of other people too. And what's crazy is that in the actual black book itself, there's additional names along all these other people who are scores of apparent underage victims in Florida, New Mexico, California, Paris, and the UK listed under massage, quote unquote, with circled entries.
That is so sick.
Yeah, and some other people are Prince Andrew from the royal family, Leslie Wexner, which we talked about, former New Mexico Governor Bruce King, former New Mexico Governor and Democratic presidential hopeful Bill Richardson, Peter Soros, the nephew of George Soros.
Wow, shocking one there.
And Amazon Jeff Bezos.
Yep. Jeff Bezos, dude.
I mean, billionaires do know billionaires. Like, I get there's probably contacts there, and those could just be business, or maybe he was financing or something for Amazon.
It's not necessarily proof that they're all, but it's just like, I think it's when someone seemed to have a decently close relationship with him, or like, really hung out with him, that you start to wonder, like, what the hell? Why were you? I mean, how much could he have been hiding?
Yeah.
And then it's also when it's like really other elite people like Jeff Bezos, you wonder, like, I mean, we don't know his character. I mean, actually we do. Like, Jeff Bezos isn't actually the greatest guy.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Who really knows?
Would he be, I mean, just because these names are associated with him may not mean they themselves are involved in pedophilia or human trafficking. But are they making money off of it? Are they investing in it? Are they somehow connected to it in a financial sense? Like, would someone like that be willing? Like, there's clearly tons of money in it. Look how rich Jeffrey Epstein was. Would someone like Jeff Bezos like have no values, and they would want to actually be involved in something like that? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's possible. I don't think it's impossible.
No.
I think we really see fake versions of a lot of people.
Oh, clearly we do. I mean, it's so obvious that so many people that we may look up to, or people that are in the public eye, that you would be like, oh, they're way too public to be doing anything weird or sketchy like this. And
like they would never.
Right. And then you later find out, like look at Bill Clinton, for example, or Donald Trump, and you start looking and you're like, oh wow, like these guys could be involved.
And that's another funny thing, is how many people are trying to make this like a political thing, like a right or a left issue. Like, all the lefts are involved with Jeffrey Epstein, or all the rights are involved. No, bitch, everyone was involved with Jeffrey Epstein. They're all in it. Politics as a whole is so dirty.
Oh yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah, it's really crazy. So some of his accusers that have come forward one is Virginia Roberts, and she was involved with Jeffrey Epstein for a while. In fact, he recruited her as a quote unquote sex slave at the age of 15, and then sexually trafficked her to politically connected and financially powerful people, including Prince Andrew and attorney Alan Dershowitz. What's obviously what people are doing is, if their names are being named in any of this Jeffrey Epstein stuff, they're absolutely denying it. Be like, that's not true. Defending themselves that they're not involved with this.
They're not actually connected. But
then who do you believe? Do you believe the people, being accused, or do you believe the accuser in this? And that's where it's kind of hard, because then you start seeing pictures of them, and, like Virginia Roberts was, right alongside Epstein for a long time. And there's pictures of her at parties along with his former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell. She's kind of a big part of this, because she is the one supposedly who was actually doing the recruiting and kind of training these sex slaves that would be brought into essentially his ring of girls that he had around the world. And she's finally coming forward and really
shocking how many women are involved in this too.
And pointing out these things, like being forced to have sex with, Prince Andrew and things like that. Like, that's crazy. That's huge.
Yeah, that's
Huge
what she's saying.
Accusations are being made, and
I'm sure she's not making it up, dude.
But why would you risk your own credibility and reputation to do that?
And it's not just some random person. I mean, she's making accusations that make complete sense about who it's about.
Yeah. Well, not only that, I mean, she's going to court and testifying. Like, she's testified that Jeffrey Epstein sent her to have sex while she was underage with former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson and former Senator George Mitchell.
She's not making this up.
And of course, all the men are like, I don't know what she's talking about. She's just making this up, doing it for publicity and money and everything else. But it's crazy, because she literally was a sex slave. I mean, she was forced to, do these acts, for a long time. And, it's just crazy that, it seems like we don't even, some of us don't even take this seriously enough. Like, this is serious stuff here. And I just hope it's being investigated. Like,
I
they're
think
looking
it's
into it.
really starting to come to light, though. Like, this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing has ignited so much interest in this, because I think the average person is able to look at this and be like, wait, what the fuck? Like, this whole story just isn't making sense. And when you hear about like how many people, I mean, they're reporting on the news that he had all these contacts with like Bill Clinton and Trump.
This is not like some secret stuff.
No,
This is
like
all...
I think a lot of people are like, wait a second, like that's really sketchy, and are starting to look into it and finding a lot of other things. And it's like, this can be for a lot of people, I think, the thing that opens their door into all of this stuff. So I really think that the fact that they're talking about this on the mainstream right now is like so huge.
Yeah.
And that, people are going to be way more under scrutiny and way more aware of this. Just I think the amount of people that just really don't think human trafficking is what it is, or they think it's like just something that happens in other countries and they have no idea the extent of it.
An American could be running a sex trafficking ring or something.
A ring, like
rich, well-known.
There's clearly a lot of money in it. A lot of people are like, wait, how is there so much money in this? There's that many people involved, and hopefully this, causes more people to look into it. Yeah,
it's really quite crazy. Like, he had these two female associates working for him, Ghislaine Maxwell, and then his former assistant, Sarah Kellen, who were repeatedly accused by the accusers of acting as pimps for him, recruiting and grooming young girls into their network of child sex workers, and frequently participating in sex acts with them.
That's how a lot of this works. It seems like there's like webs, like it's almost like a MLM, like Mary Kay or something, like where you have someone underneath you, like train, like women, like they get sucked into it, and then they end up training other women and get other women into it. Well, Nexium and so many other things, like a lot of those, just cases of people being almost human trafficked in like Walmarts and stuff, like random people come up to them. Normally it's women that are coming up to them and trying, like oftentimes they'll say something like that it's related to a Bible study or try to get you to come back home with them because it's more approachable when it's a woman.
Yeah, it's not scary and intimidating.
Normally like a pimp at the top and then a bunch of women. It's like a web.
It's crazy.
And all of it ends up coming back to the man at the top.
Recruiting
it's really
for him.
Insane.
Yeah, it really is. And what's even crazier is that like these two women have been accused in this, but they've never been really charged for it. Like Ghislaine Maxwell, as soon as Jeffrey Epstein got arrested, she disappeared. Like nobody even knows where she is. We haven't heard from her. She's completely disappeared, which is kind of weird.
This.
Because she's definitely was like the right hand man woman, in that sense, because like so many people have accused her of different things, and like
God,
she's
you
been
never
accused
know by
of
looking at her. She looks like a mom or something. It's bizarre.
Yeah, she has like a nonprofit for saving the oceans. Like she spoke at the UN before.
I don't understand how women can be involved in this. It's so sick. I don't get
it. It's money, dude. Money corrupts.
There are that many people that just literally only care about money. And for what? So you have this rotted soul. You're just this disgusting human, but you're rich. Like, good fucking job.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And so they think this woman is actually hiding out somewhere.
Yeah, she's completely disappeared. It's kind of sketchy, honestly. We're like people.
There's
are
someone specific though. They think
her.
She's hiding in someone's house. I can't remember.
Some tech billionaire. I think she's staying with. They think. Yeah, there's something weird.
But he's like hiding her there.
Yeah,
yeah, she's like. Which there's a reason she's hiding, guys. Like
because the truth is starting to come out, and it's not looking so good for her. Like I hope if they are able to prove, that these accusations are true, that they go after her and
I go after her. Imagine if they go after some like major names too. Like if they're able to prove some big, like Trump or the Clinton Foundation, like both of the Clintons could be involved in this. Like if they're able to prove that.
Yeah, well,
which they clearly, I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. But if they actually can find like evidence and we can know that, imagine if the public knew that.
There's like indictments out for Bill Clinton and Hillary and stuff.
Oh my God, that'd be insane.
Like we saw on news, like FBI raiding their house, like arresting them and stuff.
Yeah,
that'd be crazy.
For their connection.
Which we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a sec, because the flight logs are super sketchy. There's some weirdness there. But before we get into the flight logs, I want to thank our last sponsors for today.
So if you follow me on any of my social media, you know that I love to take a bath pretty much every night before bed. And one of my favorite things to do when I take this bath is use a calm meditation, one that is focused on sleep, because I know as soon as I get out, I'm going to get in my nice warm bed, and drift off to dreamland. What I have realized since I've started having a bunch of health issues related to my autoimmune disease and whatever else is going on, sleep is one of the most vital things that you can give your body. I notice a huge difference if I don't get at least 8 hours-ish of sleep. It can affect your cognitive functions during the day, how you're feeling overall. Sleep is one of the most vital things in your life. And that's why we have partnered with my all-time favorite app, Calm. This is the #1 app for sleep. I use Calm not only for sleep, but for meditation in general. Whenever I need a moment of peace or I need to just center my brain, it's very hard to meditate. And Calm has a bunch of guided meditations that can help you learn how to actually do the practice of meditation, because it's very hard to completely clear your brain. But they don't only offer meditation, they also offer a variety of tools to help you sleep. They have soundscapes and over 100 different sleep stories narrated by different soothing voices, so you can find one that you like. So if you want to seize your day, make sure you get your Z's at night with the Calm app. Right now, Mile Higher listeners can get 25% off a Calm premium subscription at calm.com/milehigher. That's calm.com/milehigher. 40 million people have already downloaded the Calm app. Find out why at calm.com/milehigher.
So if you've ever owned your own business, you know that it can be a ton of fun, but sometimes it can be a lot of work because you're having to do almost everything on your own. And sometimes it can be extremely hard to get through your to-do list. I know for me personally, I oftentimes struggle to get through my to-do list because I cannot stay organized, it seems like. What's awesome is that we're in the modern age of technology, and there is now some software that is there to help you with running your business. So HoneyBook is an online business management tool that organizes your client communications, bookings, contracts, and invoices all in one place, which is really helpful because it's so easy to not keep track of those things and get them lost like I have in the past. And having them all in one place just makes it extremely simple and helps your business run better. HoneyBook makes running your business simple because they provide you with professional templates, e-signatures, and built-in automation, which keeps everything on track and makes you look good, because we all want to look good. They can even consolidate services you already use like QuickBooks, Google Suite, Excel, and MailChimp or Gmail, which is super interesting because I use all of those products actually, and it allows you to tie them all together in one place instead of having to go to each of the individual applications each time to access different documents and information. It's the #1 choice for client and business management for freelancers and business owners. Save time and do more of what you love with HoneyBook. And right now, HoneyBook is offering our listeners 50% off your first year with promo code MileHigher. Payment is flexible, and this promotion applies whether you pay monthly or annually. Go to honeybook.com and use promo code MileHigher for 50% off your first year. That's honeybook.com, promo code MileHigher. So let's talk about Jeffrey Epstein's plane's flight logs, because there's a lot of very interesting information contained within them that could implicate big things. So
this is for the Lolita Express. It's his private plane, and it's interesting. The name Lolita is like a known storybook or something, or like a character that's known for like have like a little girl that like does things with older men. Right.
Which is so like weird and interesting that it seems like Jeffrey Epstein was like unashamed by his pedophilia, like,
yeah,
which
he was
is
almost up, like
proud
out
of it.
bit.
Yeah, almost like out about it.
I think it might, in those elite circles, like it may not be as like frowned upon. It's so bizarre.
But why?
I don't understand it.
Why is there this fascination?
I don't
with
understand it.
This pedophilia, it's crazy.
I can't imagine this. Like, no part of me understands pedophilia. Especially to see so many elite people. Like, I have to think that maybe they're not actually doing it. They're just benefiting monetarily. But like, I don't know, the amount of people involved in this. I mean, I'm pretty sure some of them are like actually involved in the actual acts, which is really horrifying. I mean, there's no proof directly, so we can't say for sure, but it's just so bizarre. And he was really just out about it, which makes you think the people that were around him must have known.
Right. That's
especially
the thing.
If you're getting on the fucking Lolita Express. Like,
if you're
Bill
getting on
Clinton
his plane,
went on the Lolita Express 26 times, according to the flight logs. That's a lot of plane rides, dude.
Yeah.
I've probably been on like 26 flights my whole life.
Yeah. 26 just on his private plane,
Like,
which
Come
really,
on.
flies primarily to his different houses and stuff.
Which that doesn't even mean he could have always taken his own fucking private jets to his houses as
Yeah,
well.
he's-
Like
he's
that's just
well off,
the time
too.
on his jets. So, I mean, why? Why would he be there?
And this is weird too. He had 21 phone numbers for Clinton.
That's insane.
That's craziness.
like, I mean, I'm sure they changed their number all
what
the
does he
time.
have a
but,
bunch
like,
of burner phones? Like Clinton runs around with burner phones or something?
dude, that must
Like,
be what it is. Well, I mean,
they don't
actually,
want to trace it back to him or something? Like, what the hell?
It's possible, but like a lot of celebrities change their names all the time. Like I'm sure if you ask like Will Smith how many times he's changed his phone number, it happens. I've had to change my phone number just as a YouTuber because people
Yeah.
get your number and then
It's
like,
true. Yeah.
especially the celebrity. Like imagine like how many people you work with in the industry that you give your number
Yeah,
to, and then they
especially,
go
like-
give it to someone else, and then like all
Right.
these random people have your. I'm sure you have to
Yeah.
change it every once in a while, especially Bill Clinton.
Yeah. True.
like he
that,
probably
yeah.
had like multiple lines, multiple whatever.
Yeah. No, it
But like,
makes sense.
why did he have so many numbers from him? Like, clearly they kept in touch. If he had like all the numbers for him,
Mm-hmm.
that's just so like just the fact that they were clearly buddies. Period is like so fucking weird to me.
They
like
were,
it's just
yeah.
so clear something was going on.
They
'cause
were friends straight up. Like,
how would you not know? How would you not know? Especially if you're riding on
especially
the fucking
him.
plane.
Like like as you'll find out when we talk about like what's in his houses, like it seems pretty obvious. Like you'd be able to figure out that this dude is like clearly into young underage girls. Like it's
Yeah.
pretty obvious.
Well, we'll tell you guys more about like what they found in his house. Which, if you're familiar at all with like John Podesta's house, who's a very close buddy
Associate
of the
of the
Clintons.
Clinton, yeah.
I mean, it's like that level weirdness of artwork in his house. Like if you're ever
And
curious,
just other
John
things, too.
Podesta art
Oh yeah.
on Google,
Yeah.
you'll be like,
it's-
what the actual fuck?
it's alarming. Yeah.
But Jeffrey Epstein's may just beat him out is like even weirder. I don't know. I think Podesta's is weirder, but still, what's up with the weird art with these elite people that seem to be involved in this as well?
I don't know,
What's
man.
going on? Like, I don't understand this.
I'm telling you, there's some type of
Like, creepy pedophile looking art. It's
there's
so
some type
weird.
of club or cult or group or something that's
And they're just loud and proud about it, hanging it up on their walls. That means
Yeah.
like everyone that comes in their house. Oh, it's so weird.
So, if Bill Clinton, flew 26 times on his jet, where was he going? Did he ever go to, Epstein's Island? And he did.
Yeah.
Even Virginia, who we talked about, who was one of the victims, said she was there at one point when Clinton was there on the island,
Mhm.
which means that she was there likely engaging in, various things.
Mhm.
She did say that she never saw him do anything and never did anything with him.
I'm sure
but,
he's very.
But
he
you
is.
got to think like this dude, like you go to his island and, you got to be aware of somewhat of what's going on there, because he wasn't like super secretive about it, which is just crazy. So obviously that raises questions about Bill Clinton and, whether or not he was involved in all this or participated. But here's just some other very weird things. So on the flight manifest listed directly under Bill Clinton is Kevin Spacey, who, as we know, was accused of molesting multiple people, including underage boys.
Yeah, so dude,
Kevin
right
Spacey
there.
flew with Epstein and him at one point too.
Enlisted right with Clinton. Like, oh my gosh.
Mhm.
And these are people you wouldn't think. Like, I think it's so shocking and it sounds so ridiculous to people that the majority of people that hear this are like, oh, that's conspiracy nonsense. No, it's not. Like, this is proof. I mean, how many people would have thought before everything came out with Kevin Spacey that Kevin Spacey was doing things to little boys?
Nobody would ever thought that.
Right? No one would fucking know
It
that.
blew
like,
all of our minds. We're like, what?
oh my God, I was such a huge
That's-
fan of him. I
yeah.
loved his work. Like, he's a great actor, but he's a great actor.
Yeah. Then
Exactly.
you realize the truth about him. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, he was on the plane.
So this is interesting because this just raises more questions. So he flew 11 flights with on Epstein's plane, not only with just Epstein, but Kellen and Maxwell, who were literally his pimps, flew with all three of them on at least 11 flights in 2002 and 2003. Now, in January 2002, Clinton, his aide Doug Band, and Clinton's Secret Service detail are listed on a flight from Japan to Hong Kong with Epstein, Maxwell, Kellen, and two women described as Janice and Jessica. 1 month later, records show Clinton hopped a ride from Miami to Westchester on a flight that also included Epstein, Maxwell, Kellen, and a woman described only as one female. Like, why would you? Who's the one female? What does that even mean?
Yeah, what does
Like,
that even mean?
That's weird that they're not even giving a name. And then it gets even weirder. So in 2002, Clinton recruited Epstein to make his plane available for a week-long anti-poverty and anti-AIDS tour of Africa with Kevin Spacey, Chris Tucker, billionaire Ron Burkle, Clinton confidant Gail Smith, and others. The logs from that trip show that Maxwell, Kellen, and a woman named Shantae Davis joined the entourage for 5 days. The last name Shantae Davies shows up elsewhere in papers unearthed by the various investigations into this sex ring, his little black book. And Davies is one of the 27 women listed in the book under, or Shantae, sorry. She's one of the women listed in the book under the entry for Massage California, which is one of the lists
massage just means sex. So why the fuck is he even writing this stuff down? It seems like so stupid to me. Like, what, you're journaling all this? Like, why does he even need to have all this? It was his private
book. Like, it was his private little like book that he had.
Yeah, how many private books have fucking ended up coming out not being private anymore? Doesn't seem like very smart to like write everything down. Be like, oh yeah, massage. Like, no one's gonna figure that out, dude.
Well, yeah, and that the thing about it is they went and looked up some of these women, and these women don't even have any sort of massage background or anything.
No, it's not a massage. He's not going to write sex, or whatever else they did.
His whole thing was like this massage thing, though. Like, Jeffrey Epstein's whole fucking thing that he liked was getting massaged by these girls, and then like
doing a happy ending.
Yeah, multiple times a day. He said, like, in order to even function, like, he had a major, some type of addiction. But then there's like these pictures just showing like his associate, Epstein's associates, Maxwell at the Clinton's daughter's wedding. Then there's pictures. And then this is where we get into talking about Donald Trump. Cause right now it seems like this is being politicized to like point blame at Trump. Like, Trump's involved with this, or,
a lot of like Democrats, I think, like Clinton, think this is some like not Republican, but like Trump
and like
propaganda or something. It's just a bunch of bullshit and made up, so they're not even taking it seriously, and it's so frustrating that it's literally true. Yeah.
Well, then you look into Trump, and it's actually
he's fucking just as bad.
He's like, he's like good friends with Epstein for a long time.
Yeah, dude.
There's tons of pictures of him. There's even a fucking video clip they had on
do you have it?
No,
I have it.
Yeah, there's like this clip that they've been playing on the mainstream news sites of Trump in Palm Beach, Florida with Epstein in November 1992.
Yeah,
and
I don't know if they've even shown this on the mainstream, but
no, I saw
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's Trump and Epstein. They're like hanging. They clearly look like they're like buddies.
Yeah.
And this isn't confirmed, but it's reported that allegedly this was some type of private party for Epstein and Trump and like a bunch of calendar girls, like 26 girls or something. And I mean, I don't know what.
I don't think this was that party.
I don't think this, but it's reported that they've had events like that where they've just had
together,
them two with a bunch of girls. Like, come on. Trump knew what was going on, guys. Like, let's not be stupid. And then you see in this video, Trump and Epstein hanging out together, checking out some girls. Trump spanks one in the video. So, I mean, he clearly hung out with this guy. And if you assume, I mean, there's quite a bit more evidence that the Clintons are involved in this than there is for Trump. But you have to think, like, if you think that Bill Clinton being on this plane so often shows his connection, like, this
you have to take
definitely
this
shows
too. Yeah, absolutely.
For sure, you guys. And like, he's like an elite. Yeah. He's a billionaire. Like, all these people, and no matter how nice they try to seem or how likable or whatever.
Well, that's not even Trump. I mean, look at the, celebrity tape or whatever that came out, where he was saying that crazy shit about women and just like his track record. Yeah. And he's been accused of rape and all these different sexual assaults, like
casually talking about this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Underaged even, like there's accusers.
It's not okay anymore. Like, I hope all of this stuff coming out, and like especially this and this Epstein thing, like I really hope it opens up people's eyes to what's going on.
Yeah. And like he was even quoted saying, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy." Yep. Yeah. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do. and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it. Jeffrey enjoys his social life.
On the younger side.
Yeah. Like, who says
he
that?
enjoys his social side.
So that implies...
And then he's like totally acting like he had like nothing to do with him after it now. Like trying to push himself as far away from it as possible.
And of course, Trump's like, these allegations are all false. You know, it's disgusting. I would never be involved. I haven't even talked to him or known him for a long time.
And, you know, so how many numbers did they have for Clinton? 21?
26.
He had 14 for Trump.
Oh, 14 different numbers, like phone numbers and stuff? Yeah,
for Trump.
Right. So that shows you that.
And he also flew on the Lolita Express in 1997.
Yeah, and I mean, Epstein came to Mar-a-Lago all the time. Like, that's how their connection was. They would in Palm Beach together, you know?
Yep.
So, you know, they've been hanging out a while. So it makes you think, like, is Trump complicit in this? Does he know something? Is he guilty by association? Like, clearly, he probably had some, like, this can't be that surprising to him.
And he tries to say that he, like, cut ties with Epstein a
totally.
long time ago, but I have yet to see any proof that he actually did that. That seems to be just what he's saying now, that, oh, well, now I cut all ties with him and it's all the Clintons.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course he's gonna blame the Clintons.
No, they're all of them are trash, dude. All these elite billionaires,
tons of politicians too. Yeah.
Like, they all have hidden agendas. It's so depressing when you realize it.
Yeah, and they're sick.
So many of them.
They're doing just evil ass shit.
Really.
It's really crazy.
It's a very corrupt world we live in.
So fast forward to recent news, you know.
Yes. Oh yeah, we haven't even like gotten into the whole conspiracy.
Yeah, because talking about Jeffrey's death and what happened there, and you know, them saying that he hung himself on the morning of Saturday, August 10th. And then a few weeks earlier, he was found in like a fetal position, unconscious with marks on his neck. And then they asked the, you know, cellmate there if he had anything involved. And then they found out, you know, they said he wasn't involved. It wasn't assault and that it was a suicide attempt or whatever. And so then he went on suicide watch, but then he got taken off suicide watch. All this just crazy shit was happening with him. And a lot of it by protocol shouldn't have happened. And that's what we're finding out now, is that they didn't even check on him for hours.
Yeah, which seems super, super weird. I don't understand. He was on suicide watch, I think, for not even a month, right?
It was very short. It was a very short amount of time.
But
that's
you think
abnormal.
you would just keep him on it because he's this extremely high profile person going through this. And like, you know, like they knew that this insane trial was coming up with all this information was about to come out. Why would you not watch this person and make sure?
Like a hawk, yeah.
Because obviously they're going to want to kill themselves, which I'm not saying he did. I don't think he did.
Yeah.
But like, why wouldn't you have him on suicide watch? This doesn't make sense.
And why wouldn't you have video recording of him going 24/7? And
yeah, at least have like someone watching it.
Yeah. And then, you know, if you...
It's such bullshit, dude. It's a lie.
It is. And the jail like broke all these protocols with you know, him, and he was supposed to have a roommate if he was taken off his suicide watch. And he never got a roommate.
Can watch them.
Yeah, so he never got another roommate. He was supposed to share a cell again.
Sounds like a conspiracy to me.
So all these rules are breaking at the jail. And what's interesting is that the Department of Justice is doing a full investigation into this right now. And they're saying that the jail is being uncooperative. Like, they're not trying to help with this investigation at all. And
I wonder if that's because they're working with someone.
I don't know.
Being paid
or
off.
They're covering up something.
Like, imagine how many rich people would possibly want to take Jeffrey Epstein out and could have paid off so many people to keep it quiet or to orchestrate it. Like, it's insane. Like,
he totally could have. Absolutely.
So many different people. Like, there's literally, it could be anyone on those flight logs. Like, or, I mean, someone that just didn't want maybe someone who hasn't even been exposed yet. There could be connections to like huge people we don't even know about.
People that don't want to become, they're seeing Clinton get uncovered and all of these other people starting to pop up.
Trial's going to be crazy. There's going to be a lot that comes out in trial. Like Jeff Bezos, for instance. What if there's more? He had more on him. Like, people automatically go to, well, the Clintons did it. Well, maybe, but there's a ton of other people that could have.
Yeah, there's people that we don't even know.
And paid off these jail workers to keep this quiet.
Or to take care of him or something, put out a hit on him or something. I mean, for all we know, there could be something like that going on.
But just for the fact that they're not being cooperative, you know, they could have just paid off the jail as a whole. Like, seriously. Is it a private prison?
No, it's the Metropolitan.
Right.
It's like the main jail there.
Still, man, it's all the jail system is like the most corrupt. So I'm sure they wouldn't mind.
Yeah, it's, and there should, like, the fact that there's no video cameras of anything, or like, it's just wild. Like, why wouldn't,
shut up.
if you had
There's
somebody
no
like,
way.
if you had somebody like Jeffrey Epstein
That's so
in your
convenient.
jail, you're not going to have cameras on his ass. Like,
right? Like you have cameras on like basic bitches in jail just for
look
like.
at 60 days in.
Yeah, seriously. Like people who are in there for like marijuana are being rewatched. You're not going to watch Jeffrey Epstein?
Come
My
on.
God.
And that's what's crazy. Is there's not any proof, physical proof, that he committed suicide the way that they're saying, which is
right.
Essentially, the medical examiner recently came out and said that he committed suicide by hanging himself in his jail cell, allegedly with a bed sheet.
The classic, he, jumped off the bed with the sheets tied around his neck.
Which, there's this kind of like little, not cartoon, but somebody made like a kind of a representation of how ridiculous that looks.
Yeah, like the beds
like,
are not that
hell?
high. That's the thing I always think about with this. But people do it. I know that people
do it, but it's just
is that
like,
the jail cell, his actual jail cell?
I don't know for sure, but it's.
But I have wondered that, like, it's not that high up the bunks. It's not like to the ceiling. Yeah, it is weird. But I mean, people do it.
You could still do
That's
it.
That's also
what
the guy that held those girls captive in Cleveland.
yeah.
Ariel Castro's his name. I forgot. He hung himself with bed sheets too in jail. So it does happen. I mean,
it does. It's possible. But what's interesting is that before the medical examiner finished and released the results, it was revealed that during Epstein's autopsy, they found multiple breaks in his neck bones, commonly found in victims of homicide by strangulation, specifically the hyoid bone near the Adam's apple.
Because the thumbs are pressing really hard into there, and that's a very sensitive spot too.
Yeah. Like it's literally right under there. Yeah. So there's a bone there, and it breaks from, like, if someone puts their hands around and chokes you from strangulation, or because for all we know, like, how do we know that, maybe he didn't hang himself. Maybe he was strangled with a bed sheet around his neck. It'd be very easy to make hanging by bed sheet look like, or strangulation by a bed sheet look like a hanging, So this is kind of interesting. This came from the autopsy and was reported by TMZ. It said Epstein's blood vessels in his eyes popped when his air supply was cut off by the bed sheet that was wrapped around his neck. We're told he suffered petechial hemorrhaging caused when someone hangs himself or is strangled or smothered, but authorities are confident this was a hanging. So that's interesting.
Well, of course
so it could be a strangulation. We don't know for sure, unless we have actual proof that they found him hanging, but we don't know that.
I mean, imagine if you're like a prison worker and you're offered like
an insane amount of money to
$70 million or something, just
who
crazy.
knows who's trying to cover it up. That's the thing,
right? I mean, it's all rich people. Like I was saying, like all the people that seem to be involved in this are like fucking loaded. So they could easily pay someone a huge amount to do this and to keep quiet.
Totally. It's very possible. And it's happened before. Like,
yes.
So we're told that the bed sheets were tied to the top of a bunk, and Epstein either hurled himself off the top of the bunk, or he had his feet to the ground and leaned forward to cut off his air supply.
And there's so many cases, like so many conspiratorial cases of people being killed before trials too.
Yeah.
Like even Lee Harvey Oswald.
Right. Yeah.
Shot by Jack Ruby in the.
But that was, obviously different than this, but it is.
But I mean, I think that was completely staged and set up, and was supposed to not have him go to trial, not be able to say
spill
his
the beans
piece.
On. Yeah, exactly.
Spill a lot of things. Because there's implications that maybe he was working with a bunch of people in the government. Could he have spilled on people? He could have been
some type of informant or something for an agency or something. Totally.
It's not new for people to get killed before trials.
No,
to
it's
keep
not.
them quiet in jail.
No.
And so you'd think the jails would be ready for that type of thing and really prepared, especially for Jeffrey Epstein.
And if he did,
my God.
Well, it's like for
the whole built his ass his own jail.
The whole coming off a suicide watch is just so weird and so abnormal, because for those that have been in those situations, they put you in like a pickle suit is what it's called, so you can't do anything. You're not there's nothing to attach anything to. There's literally no way really to kill yourself in there.
Yeah.
And in fact, the fact he was taken off, and even a former inmate said that it would have been impossible for Epstein to have killed himself. There's no way that man could have killed himself. I've done too much time in those units. It's an impossibility.
I would think that if you would jump off the top of one of those shitty little bunk beds that they have, that the thing would topple over if it was someone as big as Jeffrey Epstein.
I think they're bolted down to the ground. So
Oh, that would make sense because inmates would pick them
and
up.
stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that's true. That's true.
But he said that between the floor and the ceiling is like 8 or 9 feet. There's no way for you to connect to anything.
That's so weird.
So it's just like, unless he literally did the most like desperate thing and like hurl himself off the top of the bunk. But even that, I'm like, enough to like kill yourself? Like, I don't know.
And you'd have to be like hanging, like his feet couldn't be touching the ground. So it'd have to be so high. I don't know. That's so weird.
It's really bizarre.
It's
and I mean,
so weird.
Even Epstein's lawyers aren't satisfied with the.
If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure the first time that this happened, I believe it was like in the beginning of June that he attempted suicide, they said. But he was saying that he got attacked. Remember, he started saying that he got attacked by someone in the prison.
Yeah.
Isn't that what he said?
Yeah. And that's why they investigated his cellmate and stuff, and they determined that that wasn't the case.
Yeah, and so they were like, no, he was just committing suicide and trying to cover up for. Why would you try to cover up your own suicide? First of all,
yeah,
he said someone attacked him, which it clearly didn't work the first time.
So then, if it could have been an attempted murder on his life, and then they, that's I think what happened. Because this came out recently too. It is said that the morning of his death, quote unquote, shouting and shrieking could be heard from his jail cell. Dude.
Oh my God. It's so fucking obvious. He was murdered either by an inmate or a guard or someone involved.
Because guards were attempting to revive him, were saying, "Breathe, Epstein, breathe." So shrieking and shouting coming from the jail cell sound, and then the guards are there trying to revive him. And there's no video. The guards would know that there was no video.
No, it's too
weird.
In that
unit.
Something definitely happened.
Because they said
it's so obvious. There's so much that would have come out and so many people that would want his ass dead. I mean, imagine the connections. Imagine the shit he has on people, the amount. He could even he could have even tried to lower his own. Well, I guess, I don't know. They could have tried to work out some deal with him where he spilled beans on people, you know?
Yeah.
Said stuff. And there's probably people that were like, God, he's in jail. Who knows what they'll do to him? Maybe they'll, torture him to the point where not torture him, but have him in solitary. And, you know, I feel like he really could have he knows so many things about people. I'm sure it's just insane the conversations he's had with so many people.
Yeah, it's really crazy.
Could be the royal family for all we know. I mean,
I know.
God.
And I mean, for such a rich guy, he did get special treatment while he was in prison, and in his last prison stint, the 13-month one, which Jeffrey Epstein was a sex offender after that jail stint he did. He had to register as a sex offender, and even then, it didn't seem like people were keeping tabs on him. But this is kind of weird and interesting. So when he was in jail previously in 2008, because of how wealthy he was, he got literally the most... he just got so many privileges that obviously no one else gets.
Yeah.
Which just shows you how flawed the justice system and the prison system is.
He's got money.
If you're wealthy
I'll make
and have
a nice
money,
donation to y'all.
Yeah. So he had literally, while he was in jail from June 30th, 2008 to July 22nd, 2009, he had an unlocked cell door, almost unlimited access to a TV, and then he had a work release program, which meant he got to spend as much time out of the jail as he was in it. So literally you got to leave the jail during the day to go work and then come back at night. Yeah. And so he was allowed out of it for 12 to 16 hours. Yeah. But what's weird is that there's been records that have been found that he made an odd purchase at the facility store, 2 pairs of small women's underwear, size 5. Ooh, they allowed him to buy this. So he bought tiny,
it's
little kids.
Sized.
Isn't that just sick? What the fuck is he doing? And nobody knows why or what purpose. I mean, I kind of have an idea of what purpose, but it's disgusting, man. It's fucking,
it is.
The fact that they even let him do that is just such privilege, man. Mm-hmm. So not only did he become a sex offender, but another piece of information that has come out. So there's been all these documents that have been unsealed, 2,000 documents, because of Virginia and these other victims coming forward. The courts are starting to unseal documents, and in these documents, which there's thousands of pages of them to parse through, but one little tidbit that came out of that was an Amazon.com book receipt.
Yes.
This is very
so disturbing.
Very disturbing. So
there's literally a picture of it too, the receipt. And it says to Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, I have it. I can bring it up.
So a detective basically found an Amazon.com receipt that the Palm Beach police collected from Jeffrey Epstein's trash. And the books that were on this receipt are titled SM 101, A Realistic Introduction, which is basically about sadomasochism, which is the Jesus Christ, the sexual gratification from the infliction of physical pain or humiliation either on another person or oneself, which is just disgusting. And then his other book was Slavecraft, Roadmaps for Erotic Servitude.
Oh, I'm having trouble finding the receipt.
Yeah, I looked for it too.
The other day because I wanted to bring it up for this, but yeah, there is like a real Amazon receipt, just like straight up addressed to Jeffrey Epstein.
So like anybody that's
weird
like
books,
he may not be involved or like clearly.
Oh my God, come on! I hope no one's saying that.
I don't know. There's people out there that think he's innocent. I guarantee you.
Jeffrey Epstein's innocent. Pfft, good luck fighting that battle. I think that's quite an unpopular opinion.
All right, so let's get to his island here, because this is also something that happened recently. So literally, after he died, the FBI, the New York Police Department, stormed his 71-acre island in the Caribbean, the Little St. James, which he bought in 1998 for $7.95 million. And I'll show you a little bit of drone footage actually that they captured on the day the FBI was there. This guy named Rusty Shackelford flew his drone over to Epstein's house, and he actually captures images of the FBI and police searching the inside of the house, and they see the drone. They can actually see the drone here. So play a little of that.
So this is just some random person's footage.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's just flying.
Oh, that's so 2019 for people to be like, let me spy on the police with a drone.
So then he just like hovers it outside this window where you can clearly see all these FBI agents and stuff like searching a room.
Oh yeah, they were building their case. They were trying to,
and they're like looking out the window at the drone.
God, I just hope that because he died, that it's not all just gonna get blown away. I mean, I think because this has ignited so many people's awareness of it that it'll be hard for them to completely. I hope so. I hope that this time maybe we really start to wake up about this sick world of human trafficking.
I know. And they end up putting blankets over the window so he can't spy in on them anymore.
Oh my
but he
gosh.
literally was like taking video of the inside, which is kind of crazy.
Wow, that is crazy.
So yeah, this was his island where, he did a lot of this crazy shit and, obviously brought a lot of underage girls to the island to do various things.
Beautiful island.
Yeah, it is a very beautiful island.
Pretty.
But they raided it, searched it, took a bunch of computers out of it. But there was one thing in particular that I found interesting. Not only that there's like tons of rumors that he may have had tunnels and kept, sex slaves like locked up there and crazy shit like that. A lot like, could there be girls just held captive there, like in this giant compound that he owns? But there's this temple-like structure that he had on his land, which is very bizarre because it looks exactly like what you would think a temple would look like. It
I
had
was gonna
this
say it looks like a temple.
statue of a bird or almost like an owl-looking thing on top of it, which is very bizarre. It's
a fucking owl. That's exactly what they have at the Bohemian Grove events, is the giant owl that they all worship. There's something to do with the owl when it comes to like the elitists.
I believe it's like a satanic type situation going on.
I think it's like an all-seeing thing too. Like the owl
it's a cult. Yeah, it's definitely a cult related.
Because I don't know if any of you guys know the significance of the owl. I'm sure there's a lot more. You could research it, but wow, that is so bizarre. So he had this island, or this, what we don't know what it is, but we're calling it a temple because it looks like a fucking temple. Which, what the hell is he doing in there? I don't even want to know what was going on in there. But obviously, there's like conspiracies that there's tunnels, and he had all this weird ritualistic type shit going on there. I'm sure it's something ritualistic.
People often, think of. Yeah.
I mean, he might even do like whatever the hell they do at those weird events like Bohemian. Like they do rituals there. God, we have got to do that episode. We keep saying we're going to do an episode on Bohemian Grove. We've got to do it soon. We keep forgetting. Every week we're like, I never think to do that one, but we definitely need to soon because it's so interesting. But
then it's no longer there. It's not there anymore. I guess it either burned down or disappeared. But
Well,
nobody knows
sure
exactly
there was
what
a
happened
reason.
there. Yeah, somebody removed it for some reason. So
wow.
that's all going on his island. But now we get to his townhome, which they also raided his townhome,
In New
the
York.
77 million, 7th floor home he had in New York City. And the FBI found a number of bizarre and even criminal items, along with some strange design features. But obviously the most damning thing that the FBI discovered was a vast trove of lewd photos of young women and girls, which were literally labeled like all these specific things,
Yeah.
like clearly
organized.
very organized. He had a bizarre mural on the 2nd floor showing him in the middle of a prison scene, surrounded by barbed wire guards and a guard station. And then when people asked him about it, he'd be like, "That's me." And I had this painted because there's always the possibility that that could be me again. So clearly clearly knows that I already got, busted once for my sick ways, I could end up in that situation.
Imagine
again.
putting art like that in your house, dude. Be like, oh, I'm such a criminal. This is to remind me of the criminal I am and to be careful not to get caught.
It just shows you how out of touch he was and how he thought he was so
something was wrong with this guy. Seriously,
so
mentally
powerful.
wrong with him.
Yeah, I'm he can't be touched. I'm powerful. I can buy my way out of anything.
Dude, and then he had a wall with photos of director of him with Woody Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, fucking Woody Allen.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so, when you connect all the dots, you're like, damn, this is definitely real. And there's so many people in on it. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia. Yeah, that's the Saudi Arabia royals over there.
There could even, well, that's what's so crazy is that some of the people that we may have found out about if he hadn't died, if we'd been able to proceed with the criminal aspect of it, could have been people what if it was some Saudi prince or some type of royalty in other parts of the world? What if it's all the royalties of the world?
Yeah.
I mean, what if we were literally close to busting
I think there's a major world
in
ring.
Control, yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, if you go back even to Columbus days, he was the one to start this world sex trade. I mean, sorry, it's world sex trade.
Right.
And it did, he started shipping slaves, he and his people, not just him, but slipping Native American women out to the entire world. I think over time, this has just been going on forever. And it's all connected, these really rich elite people that go to these
it's a total
weird
industry.
things. And I don't think we understand it fully because this just doesn't make sense.
No, because it's being covered up and hidden from the public.
Yeah, there's just a lot that we don't understand about it.
Yeah, so then,
And he had a signed photo of Bill Clinton in there.
Of course, yeah. And then he had that bizarre art piece of Bill Clinton.
Now, a lot of you probably have seen this. I even saw this on CNN. This made it to there. There was this bizarre art piece of Bill Clinton. And this is interesting. I read about the artist that did this. This artist, she was kind of banned basically from major auctions, a while ago, 2009, I believe, but she makes conspiratorial art and satirical political art because she basically is like us. She thinks it's all bullshit. So she has some very interesting pieces. For example, there's one of George Bush and he's knocking over Jenga towers, two twin towers, but it's Jenga towers with a paper plane. He's a kid, but he's in the Oval Office. It's a satirical poke at the conspiracy. And this woman used to have her stuff up for auction, and back when she did, someone anonymously bought this Bill Clinton thing, which she made as kind of a joke towards the whole Monica Lewinsky scandal that was happening at the time. That's when she painted this picture. So it's not like Jeffrey Epstein contacted someone and asked them to make this specific painting of Bill Clinton wearing a dress and heels.
But you would think that at first.
Yeah, that's what you would think. You're why the fuck does he have that?
Right, it's weird.
But he bought it, and it was displayed in a prominent area of his house.
Yeah.
Which is so weird. It's just like John Podesta, man. Just all this bizarre art all over the wall that is totally unexplainable. You think of the Kardashians, for example, they're rich people in my mind, and you go to their house and they don't have all this fucking bizarre art. They have very simple, pretty, something is going on with these people.
Yeah, and
it's
listen to
lifestyle.
what else they found is just weird. So they found a custom-made chessboard with each of the figurines dressed in underwear, reportedly modeled after his employees.
That's so weird. Imagine having the money to have something like that made too. What the fuck?
And then, of course, he had a massage room filled with sex toys.
A massage room.
A life-size doll hanging from a chandelier. And a dining room designed to resemble a beach. Which, I mean, that's kind of cool, I guess. But
Wait,
the life-size doll hanging from a chandelier.
It was a bride, I thought. I thought the doll was like dressed up as a bride. It was like in a wedding dress.
Yeah,
it
could be.
Resemble a beach.
Yeah. No, the dining room was designed to look like a beach.
But then the girl was hanging from the chandelier. There was like
no.
weird.
I think it was a different area. It's not like together in the same area, I don't think.
Oh.
But there was also a 20-seat dining table surrounded by computer screens and phones, which I guess maybe could be just like a conference room table or something. Mm-hmm. But then he had a full-size dental chair in his bathroom. He had displays of prosthetic eyeballs.
Ew.
Just weird shit. But this was actually the weirdest thing.
Tiger and a poodle?
He has this
Who was
little
a taxidermed poodle?
Yeah, he had this.
Was it his?
It was real too.
No. Was it his pet though?
We don't know for sure. We don't know. He had a tiger taxidermy and a poodle.
Dude, this is so random, but when I was a kid, I got in major trouble because my grandparents' dog died. And the first thing I said to them when I went to their house after it died, and they were like super emotional. My grandparents are major dog people. I was like, why don't you get like why don't you just stuff his body and like set him in the, like prop him up in the corner or make a rug and hang him from the wall? And my grandma started crying and I had to go to timeout. I had to go sit in the car by myself for a while.
Wow.
But people actually do that, taxiderm their pets. So maybe it was his pet poodle.
I'm assuming it could have been, yeah.
Oh, that's so weird.
But it's just weird, man. I mean, he's a weird guy and clearly sick in the head. I mean,
I hope more and more comes out about this.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is that, now that he's no longer alive, the criminal aspect, the criminal charges get dropped. So now it's just really the accusers that are coming after his estate to try to obviously get, something from that for all the pain that they went through with him. And it's a civil case now. So who knows if we'll even uncover all of the fucking dirt that's hidden, all the different shit that is hidden away with Jeffrey Epstein and who he knew and stuff. I feel like what'll end up happening is, the FBI and whoever else investigating will get done with their investigation, and then it'll just be kind of the end of it. Yeah. Like we might hear some other things, but I don't think we're going to hear any more names really.
No.
I don't think any big names or anything like.
I mean, maybe unless they find more. I mean, because he's dead, I mean, we won't probably hear
things are going to probably like slow down a lot and just kind of
another conspiracy, man.
Get completely brushed under the rug. No, absolutely. I think this is absolutely a conspiracy. I think multiple people conspired to take him out until I see, more proof that he hung himself. Like, I don't know. I think there's just too many weird things surrounding him and what he was doing, and you
have to believe clearly so many different things that they said that could possibly not be true.
Clearly, there would be a motive for somebody to take him out. It's so obvious. Like,
seems like it.
Doesn't want him to talk, doesn't want him to flip, who knows what kind of deal he could have made to, to reduce that 45-year sentence, maybe he would have just came clean and said outed all the people who were associates with his. I think that's pretty clearly what's going on here. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people that would not want him to do that. Yeah, I mean, what are the chances that this jail just happens for this particular inmate to drop the ball? No, they're overworked. They fucking know. Whatever. He's not anyone. He's Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, it's such bullshit. I'm so annoyed. Doesn't make any sense, man. BS like that. Yeah. And so many people take their word for it too. They're like, oh, well, they said it. So yeah, case closed. We got the answers. What do you guys think? Yeah. Do you think this is weird, or do you think it's completely normal? No, it's not fucking normal. It's not normal. Duh. We need the truth, and I think the more we talk about it, the better. And keeping it in, talking conversations and. Because I mean, we need to know the truth about this shit. Because if there is if they're the most powerful people on the planet are involved in some of the most disgusting things and rituals or whatever else the fuck they're doing, we deserve to know about it, right? Like we deserve to know about it so we can fucking fix this and get this, rid our fucking planet of this evil that is in control. It's so overwhelming. Because it's probably the same fucking people that are in this shit that are also destroying everything else about our reality and our planet. Yeah. And it's probably people in those circles that are involved. So, but yeah, we'll end it there. This was a crazy one today.
It's an interesting episode, though. I think, let me know, you guys, what you think of us doing like a whole episode of woke news topics, because I thought it was really fun to do this. Like,
it's a good change, you know. We
Yeah.
we want to try to like change it up a bit, not be so repetitive every week, so the styles are different. And
I think some people like when we have like multiple things to talk about in an episode versus just like one really
topic.
solid big thing. Which next week we'll be back with a one solid type topic,
true crime,
a true crime topic. So we are looking forward to that. But until then,
we will
stay safe
and stay woke, guys. We'll see you next time.